That was Take That These Days. You're listening to the Let's Talk Sports Show here on Callum 105 FM. So now, Joe, we're going to be talking about the managerial merry-go-round, as I would like to call it, a merry-go-round, because you never know where these managers are going to go. Rafa Benitez, David Moyes, Claude Puel, Mark Hughes and Sam Allardyce are the ones that I've pointed out. Of course, they've all had a mixture of seasons. Rafa Benitez finishing 10th in the Premier League with Newcastle. David Moyes coming in for West Ham and bringing them up to 13th for keeping them away from relegation. And also you got Claude Puel coming into Leicester City halfway through the season as well, keeping them away from relegation and into the top half of the table. Mark Hughes as well, leaving Stoke, who have now gone down, and saving Southampton, who have now stayed up. So that's a funny situation one there. And then as well, we've got Sam Allardyce at Everton as well, bringing them into almost the European spots. If you had a bit more time, might be able to do that. But strangely enough, for the first time really in quite some time, all of the top 6 clubs have finished in plus goal difference, and everyone below them has finished in negative goal difference. So it kind of raises questions to what kind of standard is the Premier League these days. Is a separate top 6 for sure, and then the rest of them just figure out a way to finish wherever you want to finish. But Rafa Benitez at Newcastle, certainly at the start of the season, said that he's dealing with a side that is only good enough really to play in the Championship. And then he had the January transfer window, and things kind of changed to him now. And now he's finished into the top 10 in the table. And Mike Ashley has said that he wants Rafa Benitez to stay on because, he's a good manager and he's prepared to give him the funds in order to help him out to do that. But it's odd that it's coming a year after really Rafa Benitez put that first request in. So do you think Rafa Benitez has got confidence really to stay at Newcastle moving forward? Because, he certainly likes the fans, but it's whether or not Mike Ashley's got any faith in him to actually give him the funds to keep this team in the Premier League for the future.
Yeah, that's the thing. Rafa Benitez is a very loyal person, very loyal manager. But the thing is, if you're not going to back him, he's not going to stay because he won't be able to do the job. That's the thing. It's touch and go on whether he's going to stay at Newcastle. Obviously, if Mike Ashley stays true to his word, then I think he'll stay. But obviously, you can't really. I think Newcastle fans will agree with me here. You can't really trust Mike Ashley because he said many different things down the years, and the vast majority of them been untrue. Oh, I'm going to sell the club, and then it didn't happen. They had the Dubai investors, was it Christmas time?
Yeah.
They wanted to buy. Then that's all just gone quiet.
It's an odd situation, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you would hope that for Newcastle's sake that Rafa Benitez would stay on at the football club because he's a great manager. He's shown it over the years, of course, with Liverpool, with Chelsea as well. And during his time at Real Madrid, he had a good time there as well. So it's hoping that he can stay at that football club. But whether or not he will stay is a different story because it is that faith in Mike Ashley, whether or not he will spend in the window. Because if he doesn't spend, then Rafa's gone. That's for certain. I don't think they'll be able to hang on to him if they don't give him the funds in order to progress forward. Because Newcastle was one of those sides really back in the day that they were competing in Europe almost. And they would love to get back to that kind of stage in the Premier League, but it's still a long way away. 39 goals scored and 47 conceded in the Premier League. I think that's one of the lowest, really, inside the top 10 clubs. Yeah, it is the lowest of all the top 10 clubs. So they certainly need to find a potent goal scorer next season, a prolific goal scorer next season, in order to keep them in that top 10 battle. I mean, with this Newcastle side, do you think they could potentially repeat what they did under Benitez next season, or do you think potentially it's not going to go so well?
Depends on whether they spend. If you get, like I said, the transfer budget that Rafa wants and he gets the players that he wants, then he's definitely capable of achieving that. But if not, I don't think he's got the case. He's done very well this season with the squad that he's got to achieve what he's done.
David Moyes at West Ham United, similar kind of situation to Sam Allardyce and Mark Hughes and Claude Puel, really coming in at this time where the side was really struggling in the Premier League, looking to keep themselves away from the drop. And he's managed to come into this team and turn it around and to really keep them in the Premier League. But his contract's run out at the football club now, so they're under no obligation to keep him there. But do you think David Moyes has done enough in order to get the West Ham job for next season?
Yeah, I do to be honest, because when they come in, they were struggling down the bottom of the table. He's got them organised, and they finished, was it 13th in the end?
Yeah, 13th in the Premier League.
Which isn't too bad considering their situation at the start of the season. When he come in, they were struggling to find goals, struggling to keep their goals, the ball out of the back of their own net. And obviously he's worked hard. He's got Arnautovic scoring. Did I read something like 11 goals this season?
Yeah, he's certainly got the best out of him, hasn't he?
And then he's got, obviously, Lanzini chipping in and a few of the others that were struggling at the start of the season. They're all scoring goals. Defensively, they're more solid. He's swapped Joe Hart out and put Adrian back in, who wasn't bad, to be honest, last season. But obviously, when you got a big name like Joe Hart, you think, we'll put him in because he's obviously supposed to be better.
Yeah.
It obviously hasn't worked out. And he's found a system that works for West Ham, and he's done a solid job in the end.
Yeah, he has done a solid job. 13th in the Premier League, 42 points. So pretty much safety was confirmed around about 3 weeks ago, and he's kept them in the Premier League for another season, that's for certain. But West Ham in this stadium, I'm worried about their spending really as to whether or not they'll be able to keep up with some of the other sides in the Premier League because they're still, looking to pay off this stadium that they're renting out, and it really gives the support to David Moyes or whoever comes in. I hope they keep David Moyes in there because he's certainly done enough to earn the job in that situation. Next on the list, Claude Puel, Leicester City, finishing in 9th. In the Premier League, 47 points. But the questions are raised as to really whether or not the players want to play underneath him. Certainly, it was only a couple of weeks ago that stories were starting to emerge once more of Leicester City players being unhappy with their manager. And where have we seen that before? Claudio Ranieri after the Premier League title winning season. Craig Shakespeare at the end of last year. Certainly, it's got a club history, really, of pushing out managers on a quick basis if the players are unhappy with them. Claude Puel, though, gets Leicester City into the top half of the table after what was a horrible reign, really, under Craig Shakespeare. How do you think Leicester City are going to respond to this? Do you think Claude Puel's out of that situation now, or do you think they're going to keep him in for the summer at least?
It's a strange one. I thought it was a strange appointment in the first place. Because he didn't really do that well at Southampton. He got them 8th, and people said it was a success, and he got into a cup final.
Yeah.
But the football wasn't fantastic, and in the latter half of the season, they struggled to score goals. And the thing is, if the players aren't happy, they're going to kick up enough of a fuss that the owners are just going to say, like this is Ranieri, enough is enough. And I understand that a lot of the fans aren't happy either. So if the fans aren't happy, the players aren't happy, it can only spell one thing, really.
Yeah.
That's you out the door.
I mean, I hope Claude Puel gets a chance because that Leicester City side can still get back into Europe, but then again, it's a case of can they hang on to those key players in order to get them to that stage again? Kasper Schmeichel, can they keep him? Is he going to bolt soon? Riyad Mahrez, he only just handed in a transfer request back in January. Of course, he's retracted that request, but it still doesn't mean anything really. He's still going to be attracted by a lot of football clubs around the world because he's a quality player still in his peak at Leicester City. And of course, you've got Jamie Vardy as well, through and through Leicester City man ever since arriving at the football club, turning down offers from Arsenal last season, but certainly finishing 9th in the Premier League. How many more opportunities is he going to get to move to a big club and get that kind of big day that he expects? What do you think the ambition should be for Leicester City next season? Because, of course, that would determine as to what kind of manager they would get. So what do you think the ambition should be for Leicester City? Do you think they should be looking to potentially do something like Burnley have done and finish in 7th in the Premier League and be the best of the rest, really, in that sense?
Yeah, they've got to be trying to compete for a European place, haven't they? Let's be honest. They had the taste of Champions League football a couple of years ago. I don't think they'll see it again, or for a long, long time at least. They've got to be competing for a Europa League spot, surely, because they've got enough players, quality players there. They've got enough money to spend in the market, so surely. Another thing on Puel is, I heard a rumour going around in the week that they're considering trying to poach Wagner from Huddersfield.
Oh, really?
Which would be an interesting move. Whether they want a more attacking style of play, that'd be interesting to see, because Puel likes quite a defensive system, doesn't he? From what I understand. He likes everything compact. So whether the brand of football's not working.
Well, you say attacking style of play, but Huddersfield only scored 28 goals in the Premier League this season, so they scored more goals than Mo Salah did, or less goals, than Mo Salah did. So, but I understand your point, because Claude Puel is a bit of a defensive manager, and certainly if if they can find someone that's got a bit more attacking flair, a bit more person that's willing to take the risks moving forward, then certainly those opportunities of European football next season will open up more, and potentially they could go on a cup run as well. They certainly got the squad quality in order to do that. So I think there's a good chance, but they have to hang on to those key players. They have to hang on to Mahrez, really, the instigator of all their results, really, a key playmaker. And if they don't hang on to him, I think they might struggle to get into those European spots next season. But yes or no answer, do you think they're an established Premier League team now, Leicester City?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so as well. I think I don't think they'll be in a relegation battle really, but I think mid-table pushing towards Europa League is a good spots for them. Moving on to Mark Hughes at Southampton. Of course, he was with Stoke earlier on in the season. Stoke have gone down, blaming him for most part of the transfers and whatnot he's done at the football club. But he's managed to come to Southampton, and despite the loss yesterday, the key result for them was winning in midweek against Swansea to keep themselves in the league. But really, when you look on the face of it, Joe, that's the only result that's gone his way, really, for him in the season, because, there's been draws and there's been wins here and there, but he struggled to get his first win for, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks at the football club, even getting eliminated out the FA Cup. Mark Hughes, though, at Southampton, the players seem to like him a little bit. Does he stay on next season? Do you think he deserves to have at least a crack at a full season at Southampton?
I think so, because he's kept them up. And the big question is, who would Southampton get otherwise? Because not many people are going to want to walk into that situation with the football club the way it was. I
mean, there's been a lot of managers coming in and out there, haven't they? I mean, some of them have been poached by other clubs. Pochettino to Tottenham, Ronald Koeman to Everton, and Claude Puel was pretty much booted out the door with the 2 feet because of what we described by him. So is it kind of strange then that Mark Hughes is being considered really for the job next season? Do you think then track record should say that Mark Hughes should be given the boot because, arguably he's finished the worst out of those last 3 managers at the football club?
Yeah, he's finished worst, but he's had the less amount of games, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's technically had a worse squad. You look at his record at Stoke before this season, it was quite good.
Yeah.
Same with Fulham.
Mid-table kind of side, yeah.
Obviously, QPR, they were on the slippery slope when he took over there, so he's not got a bad record. He's not got a fantastic record.
Yeah.
But he could potentially, with the right investment, get them to mid-table next season.
That is the question, though. The right investment. Is the investment going to come? We'll have to wait and see in the summer for that. And a final manager before we go to a music break. Sam Allardyce at Everton. Similar kind of situation as West Ham. They were pushing down, looking like they could be in a relegation battle if they weren't careful, but Sam Allardyce took over and they pushed themselves up to 8th in the Premier League, and they look like they could be on the brink, really, of pushing into those European spots. Of course, they did spend a lot of money last summer, but a lot of transfers really didn't pay off, like Sancho, I think his name is, Sandro, the Spanish striker. He didn't really play that much. Davy Klaassen from Ajax, he had a decent career in the Dutch league, but he hasn't really made it in the Premier League either. Rooney's slowing down a little bit. Sigurdsson can't stay on the field. A lot of questions will be asked about Everton's transfer policy this summer, but nothing's really going to happen until they they decide on who they want as the manager. So after his performance this season, Joe, pushing Everton up to 8th in the Premier League. I know you never like to see Everton do well as a Liverpool fan, but Sam Allardyce, has he done enough to earn the job for next season at least at Everton Football Club?
I don't think so, no.
No. Why is that?
Well, there's a lot of unrest at the club still. Some of the players aren't keen on. I know he keeps saying his press conference, no, there's no problem between me and Rooney. There's no problem with me between me and this player, that player, the other player. But the thing is, the players don't seem to be that thrilled playing under him. He kicked Lookman out the door, which was a bizarre one, because he was one of their better players this season. Yeah, the youngster. He's gone off to Leipzig, and he's had a great season over in Germany. And there's talk that he might not want to come back. You've got Rooney who's going out the door.
Yeah.
To the States because he's had an.
Well, that's not been confirmed yet. Sam Allardyce did slander that rumour earlier in the week because he didn't think that Rooney has said anything to him about potentially leaving. So
I find it bizarre though, because he was partly saying his goodbyes the other day and cleared his locker. So I don't know. I don't know how true that is. But obviously, I don't know much about Everton. But I was talking to an Evertonian the other day, and he was saying there's 3 things that are rumoured to be happening in the next season or two at Everton. Number 1 is Allardyce to go.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Rooney to go.
Yeah.
And number 3 is Ken Wright to leave the board.
Number 4 potentially move into a new stadium because they can't be in between a church and a park for too long, because that's just not good football club management really for the ambitions that they really have with that football club, is it?
And obviously number 4 is the stadium, which has pretty much been nailed on. They've just got to obviously pay for it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, and get permission to build it. But it's a strange thing. Everton Football Club, they want to be in Europe and they want to be having these big players for when they move into the new stadium. Because obviously they're going to have a 50,000 seater stadium? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
So it's one of those. They need to be playing a better brand of football, because I think that's half the problem under Sam Allardyce. Yes, he's kept them up, but they're not playing at the brand of football that you would associate with Everton. Normally they play quite, under Moyes, they play quite fast football, don't they? Quite paced, quite controlled.
Yeah.
With Allardyce, it's just been rigid, long balls. And the Everton fans aren't happy. They did the survey, which I think was a bit out of order.
Yeah,
They sent it to the fans.
definitely.
Rate your manager from 0 to 10.
I was so angry when I saw that. It's like the club should not be treating their manager like that. No club should treat their manager like that.
I heard about it and I thought it was a joke at first. And then when I found out it was serious, I had to chuckle to myself, because I thought, what on earth is this football club doing?
It is ridiculous. But I think Sam Allardyce deserves another chance at Everton next season. But it's a question as to whether or not they're going to give him the chance, and whether or not they still have that ambition really of finding that top class manager to push them forward to the next level.